Just to kick off with the fourth video in the series about how to help yourself if you suffer from anxiety or fear or panic during this situation or during any other, whether that's just something for you. So yeah, as I've said in the previous videos, I hope I've been able to establish that when we feel these feelings, anxiety and all the rest of it, it's not just a mental thing going on, it's a bodily thing as well. There's things happening in the body which are the result of what you're thinking about, but also the cause of what you're thinking in terms of any more anxiety. So it's good to know that because we can address both of those areas, the mind and the body, in terms of some things we can do to stop the way that we're feeling. So there are some things that we can do immediately that are in our control, for both the mind and the body, thankfully. It's not comprehensive, it's not the only things that we can do. There's much bigger and better work that we can be doing in terms of our relationship to our mind and to our own thoughts, but I'll get more into that in later videos. But for now, how can we help ourselves in this situation? So mentally, so what's actually going on when we're anxious, when we're feeling the way that we feel, this like horrible state that we dread, and it's just not it's just not pleasant. So what's going on? What's going on is we're using our senses, ears and eyes mainly, to absorb bits of information that when we process that information, we make some meaning out of that and we derive fear from that. It's like we hear something, it's like, we panic or we get anxious or we get scared. So it follows, if the information is what we call the trigger, or one of the triggers, there are many, then it follows that we've got control on the information that we're letting in. So if you're wondering why you're feeling unbelievably anxious, but at the same time, you're scrolling incessantly through social media feeds and absorbing the numerous negative posts, other people scared and worried and projecting that, the scaremongering, the conspiracy stuff, all this kind of stuff. If you've got both of them things going on, I encourage you to be able to see the relationship between them, because all this information you're absorbing, that's just trigger after trigger after trigger after trigger, which is setting off the mental process, which kicks off the sympathetic nervous system, which is then a bodily process, and then that bodily process and the mindset that it encourages is adding more fuel to the fire. The body affects the mind, and the mind affects the body, and so you've got that anxious loop, as I called it, going on. So reduce the triggers, reduce the information, stop scrolling on social media so often, stop listening to the news so incessantly if that's something that you're doing. The way the news is reported in that urgent style where everything's dangerous and you've got to sit up and take note and you need to act or you need to be worried. Like, no one's saying don't check the news. We need to know what's going on, but can you possibly limit the time and the way you interact with the news? Maybe just access the news to find out what it is that's going on. Give yourself a limit, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, then put it away, get on with something else. It's how we relate to these things. No one's saying that these things aren't good news and social media. Of course they are, they've got their uses, but if the way that you interact with them is having a negative impact on your mind, mental health, and how that plays out in the coming days and weeks, then maybe you should address that. And that is something that's in your control, and it does help massively. Distractions is a great one for this. Distractions, it's a vague term, isn't it? But basically, get the box sets out, get the games out, you know, anything like that, anything where you can zone out. You know, you're giving yourself full license here. This is perfect reason to be doing them kind of things. It's taking you out of that. It's taking you out of the stream of negativity for one, which exists in the social media channels and the news. It's taking you out of that. It's also taking you out of a mindset. Um, so yeah, distractions are great. Get into them games, you know, whatever. A massive one, and there's so many studies of this, and you know I can testify to it massively. And you know, in my personal life and my work life for the last 6 or 7 years, is creativity. It's absolutely huge in replenishing a positive mental state. Um, and the way that happens is there's nothing magical or mystical about it. It's concentrating on drawing that picture or learning that instrument or playing that song or whatever other kind of creative process, sewing, knitting, you know, gardening, all of them things. It's a mindset again that you're getting into. It's focusing your concentration on something, and it's not allowing this really sensitive chain of thought to kick off, which is, you know, it's waiting for information for it to kick it into action and be worried and panicked. Creativity and focusing on something, focusing the mind just shuts all of that off, you know, and the mental state during creativity is amazing and therapeutic and relaxing, and yeah, it's just you know, it can't be stressed enough. Basically, another one is exercise. It's I think we all know enough now for me to not have to prove that exercise is huge for your mental health. I mean, just look around you at any city in, you know, the Western world, and all of the initiatives that they've come up with to incorporate activity and exercise into society in order to get better mental health. It just works, and you know, there's no better time than now to get into that. So you know, the body though, how can we help that? You know, if we're moving on from exercise, which is that actually helps both mind and body, as do a lot of things, but you know, if we are going to start to get into that, and we are going to accept that during periods of anxiety it's a bodily thing as much as a mental thing, then what should we do with the body? Well, more importantly, if we can accept that it is a bodily thing, it now makes a lot more sense why certain kinds of lifestyles and you know, healthy eating and ways of doing things, it makes sense, doesn't it, why that works? Because those things you're doing for your body are reducing um, the negative state which contributes to a ill mental health. What's actually happening when you're anxious in terms of a bodily sensation or what's going on in the body? Well, what's actually happening is your hormones, your adrenal glands, they're spitting out all this, you know, adrenaline, you know, cortisol. Everything is kicking off and geared up, and you know, using all your energy. And at some point, the motor needs to be turned off and given a rest. When you're in an anxious state, that motor is permanently on. You know, you're using resources. And the thing is, you're sending adrenaline and cortisol to the body, and the heart's beating and the blood's pumping, ready for action. That you're not actually gonna act. There's nowhere to run to, no need to, and there's nothing to fight. So you're using all of the body's energy reserves, and you know, it leads to stress, it leads to unwellness, and eventually it leads to exhaustion, because once the body goes up, it's got to come back down, and doing this over and over is taxing the body. Um, what's also taxing the body is the way that we eat. So you know, sugars, anything with sugar in, raising your blood sugar. Again, you're booming, you're gonna bust. Any kind of simple carbohydrates, bread, pastas, anything wheat, flour, easily absorbed by the body, um, and there's a sugar spike, an energy spike when we consume foods of that nature. So again, when it spikes, it's got to come back down. So we're setting off a chain of boom and bust by eating certain foods, and also caffeine. Drinking caffeine does the same thing. It takes us up, and we've got to come back down. So that boom and bust, that up and down, that energy and exhaustion is the nature of anxiety. So we don't want to be contributing to that in the way that we live our life, our lifestyle and our health. These aren't all just like generic um, ways of saying, "Oh, this is how to live healthily." This is why people say it. This is why people push this lifestyle, because doing it um, leads to a more balanced energy system that doesn't go up and down, up and down, up and down. It's a steadier flow, and that steady, more harmonious bodily state leaves you in a much better position to be able to receive triggers. So the triggers don't have the same effect when the body is harmonious and balanced. If your body's used to this like huge boom and bust physically and mentally, um, which leads to anxious thinking, you know, and being, especially when you're tired. Sleep is another massive one. Not enough sleep, or not enough sleep at the right time, leaves your body and mind so susceptible to triggers. It's unbelievable. So regulate the body, get the sleep, drink the good stuff, don't drink the bad stuff or too much of it. Um, all of those things get the body more balanced, and these triggers, I guarantee you, will not have the same effect. You won't be as sensitive to them, and I really can personally testify to that. Um, so look after the body, and the mind will follow. These are things that are definitely in your control. The exercise thing, it's huge. And what a time now to exercise. Okay, we've got to isolate, but there's plenty of stuff we can do indoors. And also, apparently, we're getting one occasion per day where we can go out for some form of exercise. So make use of it, make the most of it. So look, these are the things that are massively in your control to be able to help. You might not have been able to put two and two together before, and maybe you did, but I hope that you can now. You see the relationship between the information that you consume, and the food and drink that you consume, and the sleep that you get, and all of the other things I've spoken about. So, yeah, I hope that's helped. I'm going to get into loads more of the topics I've covered in previous videos, a little bit more in detail in future videos. But for now, I'll leave it there, and I hope everyone's safe and well. And once again, like or share the video if it makes sense to you and if you think someone can benefit. And I'll see you soon. Thank you.